Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wingless Dreamer Podcast. I'm your host, Ruchi Acharya, and today's episode is one of those conversations that feels less like an interview and more like sitting inside a living, breathing piece of literature. Our theme today is the rise of healing literature, with none other than the most remarkable poet, Jenny Hart. Let me ask you, have you ever wondered why readers in 2026 are choosing poetry, grief memoirs, or spiritual essays perhaps over fast fiction, short stories, flash fictions, or scientific fictions? And honestly, I can't think of a better writer to explore this with than our guest today, Jenny Hart. Jenny Hart is a writer and a poet who explores the surreal boundaries between language and the human soul. Her work has appeared in multiple Wingless Dreamer anthologies, and her newest piece, The Architecture of Static and The Lexicon House, one of those stories that doesn't just sit on the page, it lingers, it echoes, it edits you back. Jenny often personifies the writing process itself, drafts that breath, words that haunt, sentences that refuse to stay still. Through her work, she builds a bridge between the unfinished drafts of our lives and the quiet, powerful healing that comes from shared storytelling. So, Jenny, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you here today. How are you feeling?
Hi, Ruchi. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. And, over time, me and my editorial team, we have read so many of your work. And it's really good to have a face-to-face conversation because, we are those kind of people who are always behind the pages. And opportunities as such as this really give us this moment, to share and discuss what we strongly believe in or our viewpoints and key takeaways. So I'm really glad to have you.
That's so awesome. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to have a conversation, actually. It's, like you said, fun to be in front of the camera with your, a friend, and just to be able to sit down like a little sleepover or something and just be able to talk and have a moment, and be able to just be open.
Well, before we talk about healing literature as a larger movement, because it is a vast topic, first of all, I want to heartily congratulate you for winning the winter writing contest, Black Ice and Broken Light. Oh my God, your short story title, The Architecture of Static, has done a tremendous job, and it stood out the winning short story among 400 submissions, which we received globally.
Goodness.
So what does this achievement mean to you?
Oh my gosh. It's overwhelming. It's so surreal. It's really refreshing. Yeah, it's really refreshing to know that your work is being seen and that people appreciate it, and that it's not just me being behind a piece of paper, like you said. It is actually me being here, an actual living, breathing human that can feel and love and hate and all the other emotions that we feel. So I'm super excited. So it's crazy, actually. It's really mind-blowing.
No, I can totally sense your feeling. Yeah, because I'm a poet as well, and apart from running Wingless Dreamer community, I do submit to other journals. And trust me, victories as such as this, it keeps you motivated that you are on the right track. Listen to your heart, block all the noises, and stay true to your craft. And eventually, it pushes you further to continue writing, to pursue your dream. So, really, congrats on that.
Thank you. I'm so happy about it. Yeah.
One of the most amazing key factors that I truly admire into your short story was that how you played with the stillness. Like your short story transforms stillness into a living architecture, where silence holds the weight, where the memories comes alive, and grief further crystallizes into clarity, into a clear vision. So it is hauntingly precise, this amazing short story. The moment, every time you are changing the paragraph, so each image is like chiseling loss into something enduring, luminous, and quietly merciful. So Brilliantly done. I
Thank
really do
you.
want to ask you this question. What was the inspiration behind writing this amazing short story?
I mean, we all know what, grief is like. We all know what stillness is like. We all know what it's like to sit with yourself after a party, or after Christmas, or after, you have all this fun and family and hot chocolate and warmth. And then when everyone goes home, you find maybe a bead or a sequin on the floor or the coffee table where your friends were sitting. And then that's just the only kind of, I could say, memory of the whole situation in a way. Like, it was just so real a minute ago, and then it was just, there it is and there it isn't. And so I spend a lot of time alone, and I think it's hard, but it's healthy, But that the way we feel when we're alone is important. It's important to just sit with it, I think,
May I ask you, like, how does this redefinition of static change our understanding of grief in the narrative?
So it's important because it's fearful. It's fearful to feel, and people are scared of it. It's like pain or grief or sorrow or anything is a scary feeling. So I think when you understand it a little more, there's lots of ways that poetry or music or whatever, any way that you can understand it is I think important. Like we said, it's hard being alone, it's hard being upset, it's hard being sad. And then the cold in the winter, I think, makes a really good backdrop for that. The stillness and the breath of air that you see coming out of your mouth when you go outside, the way it just like is really cold on your nose, just all these things that really reflect that stillness.
In your story, like, winter here is portrayed not as a concealment or something hideous, but as an excavation. It digs things up, because I guess that's how grief, sorrow does to us, right? So what ways does the stripping away of warmth become an act of mercy? And how does this paradox shape the story's emotional resolution?
It's supposed to make you feel, there and true. Like, part of my short story is that, like, part of the little piece of it, the silence is not empty, it is a crowded room. It holds the heavy velvet presence of every no, not yet, and never again that we tried to bury in the thaw. Winter does not hide things, it digs them up. Which is a really cool part, just about your question exactly. Winter and grief being the same or not the same, it does not hide things. It doesn't let you hide things. It doesn't let you hide you. It doesn't let you hide your grief. It doesn't let you hide your happiness. It doesn't let you hide anything. It says, face it, girl, because it's here. Here am I. Here I am, and here that is too. Face it, because it's okay.
Yeah. And I guess we learn a lot. We learn a lot in your short story, and stripping away the warmth, it brings an act of mercy, in a sense, like, now you self-pity yourself in a good way, in a positive direction, because now you try to explore the ways, trying to find the resolutions, or trying to hold yourself accountable. You basically unlock new traits, which is good. Darkness is always considered as something to be obscure rather than profound, but I guess it's yin yang. We have to balance the best of both.
There has to be dark in order for there to be light, and vice versa. Yeah,
it's very well said. Well, I also would like to bring your another story titled The Lexicon House, which you submitted to us for the contest, The Haunting of English Laureate, because this story is, oh my god, this story it feels like a perfect doorway into today's theme, which is healing through literature. So, Jenny, let me tell you, like, when I read The Lexicon House, what struck me immediately was how language itself becomes the haunted space. This isn't a house haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by words, drafts, punctuations, unfinished thoughts. Oh my God. Please tell me your inspiration behind it.
Well, as a writer, as you know, we have a lot of unfinished business, I guess you could say. We have like drafts upon drafts, I'm sure notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of scratch, of journal, doodles, of anything that is just in your heart and in your mind, never going to be finished. No matter if it is or if it isn't, it never is going to be good or never going to be finished or never going to be good enough. And that is kind of the inspiration of like writers are masochists with mortgages. You know, we just kind of love it in a way. Like, but it's hard because like I was saying, it will never be finished in our eyes. So that's probably going to haunt us in a way forever somewhere in our minds and in our hearts, you know. Yeah. That's pretty much what I was thinking. Our work is sometimes unfinished, but I think we as people are all unfinished. Every single day we get maybe a little more piece, a little more colored in our little coloring book. My favorite part of the story was when the library started reading her back, when the books whispered things in her soul, or in her palm, you know. Can I read it?
Yes, please. The stage is all yours.
I bought the old dictionary house on Adair. It sat on the edge of town where grammar retired, every street sign mispunctuated and every mailbox hyphenated wrong. The realtor, a man who spoke like misplaced commas, warned me the place had semantic issues. I assumed he meant mold. Inside, the walls were papered with words, not wallpaper of words, words themselves. Some peeled at the corners, others curled into themselves like shy verbs. The house smelled faintly of old libraries and broken promises. In the living room, a chandelier made of dangling quotation marks swayed whenever I lied. I tested it immediately. I love this place. The chandelier rattled. I moved in anyway. Writers are masochists with mortgages. The first night I dreamed in italics. My bed floated on a sentence that refused to end, and I woke to find a paragraph scrawled across the ceiling. Every word you think becomes part of us. I laughed it off. Sleep paralysis, maybe. Too much caffeine, too many metaphors chasing their own tails. But then, the nouns began to move. They rolled across the floor like marbles. Hope, silence, reason. Silence shattered first. Every time I tried to speak, my words drifted upward. Sticking to the walls and joining the others, my voice became wallpaper. My thoughts, decor. I discovered the library in the basement a week later, if you could call it that. It was a mouth. The shelves were ribs, the book's teeth. I touched one and it pulsed beneath my fingers, whispering its title into my palm. Adjectives anonymous, it hissed. Another smaller one trembled open, the entomology of regret. By the time I realized the books were alive, they had already started reading me back. Pages turned of their own accord, describing my every moment. She reached for the candle, pretending her hand wasn't shaking. She wondered if she'd become a metaphor for poor decisions. I slammed the book shut. It sighed, like punctuation at the end of patience. That night, the house began rewriting itself. The walls rearranged, sentences swapped, meanings twisted. The staircase became a question mark that I couldn't climb. Doors refused to open unless I spoke in perfect iambic pentameter. When I finally reached the attic, I found a mirror. My reflection was redacted. Black bars where my eyes should have been. Beneath it, someone had carved a single phrase into the floorboards. The author never leaves. And in that moment, I understood. The house wasn't haunted by ghosts. No, it was haunted by drafts. Every unfinished story ever abandoned here has learned to live without its writer. Now when visitors pass, they see the lights flicker and say, oh, houses always creak. But that's not creaking. That's editing. And if you listen closely, you'll hear me whisper from the rafters. Be careful where you put your commas, because one day they might come back to separate you from yourself.
Oh my God, bravo.
Yeah.
This is truly genius. This is truly genius, Jenny. Oh my God, I have no word. I'm feeling goosebumps right now because it really left me speechless. Yeah, brilliant.
I feel like it comes out. I just love reading my poetry. I don't know why, like out loud. I don't ever do it often, but I think when I do, it just comes through so much differently than when I just sit and write and read it into myself. You know, it's crazy.
I guess when we read it out loud, it brings the musicality to your writing piece, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, your short story balances wit and dread beautifully. As an editor, I know juxtaposing both the genres, horror and humor, or say satire, isn't easy. So how did you pull it through? Like, give a piece of advice to our dear listeners.
It's all in the way that you feel, you know, it's all in the way that it comes out. And anyone can do it, really. It's natural. But the problem is that we unlearn and we filter, no matter if we don't want to or not. Like I said in my past podcast, I said, you know, We do a lot of unlearning. We do a lot of, is this written for me or is this written for someone else? And do I feel it in my own, or does someone else, like it turns, look at this piece I've written, and then turns that into, do you see yourself in it? Which is kind of insane. Poetry and writing and being an author and being a creative it's overwhelming in a way, because of all the thoughts and the feelings that you are always carrying, always, whether it be your own or whether it be your own and other people's, because unfortunately I am covered in empathy, so I have this crazy empathetic pulse to just feel so much of every single little teeny tiny thing that it can actually shut me down.
Well, that brings us beautifully to our larger conversation today, the rise of healing literature. Because I guess the world needs it today, we need it, because in a world driven by speed and surface level content, may I ask you, what do you think, Jenny? Like, how can literature still function as a slow, radical act of healing for both writer and the reader?
It puts you in that moment. It makes you be present. And it's not the present to where you are, but it's the present to wherever you want to be, wherever you like, whatever you're reading, wherever kind of plot setting that is, whether it be, Shakespeare or Robert Frost or anything. There's a lot of new poetry and new writing just coming, even on Instagram, there's just a lot of action happening, and it's good. And to be able to know that someone else feels what you're feeling is also reassuring, to be able to just sit and read and just be like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I hope so. I guess we need to, raise awareness that how important it is, the stillness, the emotionally, stillness really helps a lot. It allows your feelings to complete their cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
We are so endorsed into grief, anger, and unhappiness that we are heavily consumed by it.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? We don't give our grief or our body to process it through. We break the cycle in between, because the next day we have to show up at work, the next day back to life. The moment you wake up, okay, the clock is running. So again, I guess we need a vacation with ourselves by sitting at home, or take a walk on the beach, or we can just simply meet our friends and have some coffee at the cafe. Just have that me time, because without stillness, without that pause in your life, emotions stagnate or explode.
You bottle and you bottle and you bottle, and then all of a sudden it's like shaking up a Coke bottle.
Yeah, that's so true. And I guess spiritually and creatively, this stillness, this pause is very fertile ground, because, every philosophy, even if you dig up the history, while I was researching a little bit about this podcast, it says in whether it's Greek philosophy, whether it's Hindu mythology, it says everywhere that prayer, poem, these were all breakthroughs, and has been born from someone daring to stop and pause and reflect on this beautiful world around us. So again, I guess we all need to not to quit, but to be present, to notice, and to remember.
Yes, to be present and to be aware. That's the big things. To know that it's never going to go downwards, to know that your life is always, it's always up. It's always up. You're always going to rise eventually. You never go anywhere downwards, because it's just steps. Maybe you feel like maybe a little level plateau, but you still end up going up and up and up. And as long as, like you said, as long as we're present and aware and in the moment and in the now. I listened to this thing once that the guy said, how many nows have you had today? Which was really, really deep. And I ended up asking I still ask my friends that same question. I say there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a curious kind of question, We can't ever go back. We can't ever go back.
What do you think? What defines healing literature? Not being always about optimistic joys, but raw honesty.
Because sometimes we're filtered and we are afraid that our way is not good enough. And so being able to read someone else's way being good enough is almost like refreshing, like someone saying, giving a tap on your shoulder and saying, you're going to be okay. Look, I got through it. So we all know that you're going to go through it and you're going to get through it. no matter what. Reading it and being able to see that, hey, someone else has been through this kind of situation. I'm not just the lonely little warthog, that's feeling all these feelings. We don't know why. So it's clarifying, it's reassuring.
Maybe it is less about resolution and more about recognition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the path.
I totally get it, but I truly admire when you said that, like, it's all about raw honesty, because, like this healing literature, it allows grief to speak up without rushing it, or get angry, without sanitizing it. So just feel the feels, just stay true to yourself, don't bottle it up, don't suppress
it, because it's just going to be like a Coke bottle. And just know that it's okay, which is actually the hardest part for most people, is just to be able to be like, look, this is gross feeling, and I don't think I'll ever get through this, and I'm the only one that feels this way ever, and what the heck is wrong with me, and etc, etc, etc. But it's not like that. You're not the only one that feels that way. Like, you never know what people are feeling. Maybe you could say like a homeless person, or a person who has an addiction or something like that. Don't stigmatize. Don't stigmatize, because just because, they live in their car in an alley, and doesn't mean that they're not a person, And so, like, it's important to treat humans like humans. That's it. Not like animals, not like filthy people, not like whatever you want to say. Like, we are all the same here, And the only reason why we can see each other, only reason that we touch each other, because if we couldn't, we would just be, nothing, or light, or static, or whatever floating around, And so that's why we're in our human bodies, is to be able to talk to each other, to be able to feel, like you were saying, feel the feels.
That's the Wingless Dreamer motto as well. Feel the feels, write your heart out. Yes. As we were talking about the rise of healing literature, so if we dig up the past, like, history shows that literature often rises from collective trauma. For example, like amazing and brilliant poets Wilfred Owen, these legends were born after World War II. So, after World War, or a pandemic happened, or like the Black Plague, and trust me, Britishers, they have written so many poems on that note as well. Especially the nursing rhyme, ring a roses, pocket full of roses.
Yes. They hold a very dark meaning behind them, yeah.
Anyway, I was asking, like, so in history shows that literature often rises from collective trauma. So what responsibility do writers carry when their personal healing intersect with generational wounds? Because there is always an intergenerational trauma, that we bring unknowingly with us.
I feel like we have a lot of responsibilities, because it's our own coming out on the paper, plus could possibly be someone else's life, like we were talking about. You never know what someone's feeling, and if they're reaching out to you, or to your writing, or to any sort of anything like that, particularly, that they're reaching. And so it's important to realize and recognize that in the lightest form possible, because that could be overwhelming. And I think that they always understand what you're writing, because they're reading your writing for a reason. So they will read it again if they don't. And yeah, the best healing often probably comes from nothing, in a way, from just being. And yeah, it's always hard to heal, and it's always hard to convince yourself. That's the thing is, we always convince ourselves that there is a problem, or that there is an issue, or that there is some sort of default or defunct or whatever, but really there isn't, so you're stuck with that one little piece of bad advice in the back of your mind that you gave yourself for no reason. I was listening to this thing the other day, and it was so they took out a can, right? They took out a can, and they said, tell me 2 good things that you like about this can. And then, they'd say, oh, well, it's red, or it's whatever. Now tell me 2 things that you completely hate about this can. Well, this is a Mountain Dew, whatever. What is it? It's still a can. So I feel like that one stuck with me a little bit. You can say all the things, the nice things or the terrible things, but it's still what it is.
That's
All
so
in
true.
all.
That's so true. I guess the same philosophy also reflects on us.
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is to shape our perspective in the most, compassionate way to ourselves. Like we are always ready to help to others. But when it comes to our own time, no, we back off. We are like the greatest critique of all the time. But maybe we are too hard on ourselves. Maybe we need to show at least half of it what we are showing, giving to the world, to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Again, since we are writers, like healing literature
Mm-hmm.
also shifts power. For example, like as a reader, when you are reading work from writers like Virginia Woolf or Ray
Yes.
Lorde, Maria Rilke, if you have read
Mm-hmm.
a couple, like I'll send you after this podcast, amazing writer. And
Mm-hmm.
Sexton, they were practicing healing literature long before the term existed. What's new is the collective permission to read and write this way. This social upheaval,
Yeah.
global crisis, the generational reckoning with mental health, have
Yes.
indeed pushed the literature back to its oldest role, helping
Yes.
humans make sense of suffering.
Yes.
Actually it does.
Yeah. That's kind of like I don't know if you read my religion piece. That one was, I feel like, was one of my favorite pieces that I think I've ever wrote, which is crazy because I wrote a lot of pieces.
Whenever you're ready.
Here we go. Here we go. Got it. We like to think we've moved past religion, that in our era of logic and innovation, we've outgrown our old stories, but belief didn't disappear, it just changed form. We may not kneel in a church or bow toward Mecca. You may not chant, fast, or pray, but belief, raw, unshakable belief, is still there. We all worship something. The only question is what? David Foster Wallace once warned, there is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships, but the only choice we get is what to worship. He wasn't talking about God, he was talking about us. Our obsessions, our distractions, our quiet devotions to things that promise meaning but often deliver emptiness. These days, it's rarely a cross or a crescent moon. It's more likely a logo, a screen, a voice selling you a better version of yourself. We worship hustle, status, curated beauty, digital fame. We trust in tech billionaires more than prophets. We give our attention, the new currency of faith, to influencers who promise clarity in a chaotic world. Traditional religions are shrinking, but belief isn't. It's just been rebranded. It lives in self-help, fitness routines, morning rituals, TED Talks, healing journeys, and algorithmic truths. We manifest, we optimize, we burn sage, track sleep, read stoicism, repeat affirmations, drink mushroom tea, and call it growth. And maybe it is. But still, the question lingers, what is this all pointing to? Because belief at its core is about hunger. The hunger to feel connected and to matter, to make sense of suffering, death, love, and everything in between. It's what gives humans the ability to endure when nothing else makes sense. It's what compels us to look up instead of just ahead. The problem isn't that we believe, the problem is that we often believe carelessly. We hand our faith over to things that can't hold it. We center our lives around images, not realities. We follow, like, buy, repeat, and hoping to feel something close to sacred. But for all our modern rituals, many of us still feel unrooted, spiritually anxious, alive, but not fully awake. So where does this leave us? Maybe it's time to ask better questions, not just what do I believe, but why? Not just who do I follow, but where are they leading me? Not just what grounds me, but what transforms me. Because religion, at its best, gives structure to awe. It offers a way to carry the weight of existence. It's flawed, yes, sometimes tragically so, but it's also human, and so is the search for meaning. This is not a call to return to old systems. It's a call to pay attention, to notice what you've slowly come to worship, to be honest about what you trust and whether it's making you more free, more whole, or quietly hollowing you out. We all believe in something, but the question is whether that something is worth your life. It's pretty good, right?
Oh my God, it's really good. And yes, I remember now. I have read that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I was so proud of that. I was like, woof, that was just so deep. Yeah. It has nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with it at the same time.
Yes, that's so true. You have really perfected it so very well. You have highlighted that how, like, reading the affirmations, mushroom teas, in the morning when you wake up and everything. So we do follow all this, like, religiously, indeed.
I'm a Douglas Adams fan. I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that's a nerd moment for me, but he is so descriptive And all of it just so, even for no reason, he's just so descriptive. He wants you to know every single, and I think that's important because that's what puts you there. That's what makes you understand and just sets you right next to wherever it was that he needs to set you by.
Returning to the topic, that's where actually maybe healing literature,
Yes.
has emerged because
Yeah.
people are exhausted by productivity without meaning,
That's
trauma
right.
without language, survival without tenderness. Nobody is gentle with you anymore, and again, for being gentle or for being even able to understand other human, whether it's your sister, your friends, your partner, you need to sit and talk.
Yes.
As simple as
Yes.
that. But who got
Yeah.
the time now? Nobody does. So I guess that's where this genre exists, to say that your pain is real and it can be held.
Yeah. And you're real and you can be held, and that it's okay. And it's okay to feel, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be happy, and it's okay to cry, and it's absolutely okay. Because that's the blessing of being human, and to be able to have a heart and to be able to wear that heart on your sleeve or not is it's magical almost, We're here for a reason, and that's to be able to feel. Overly stressed, especially men, they all, and us women as well, like me. I'm a big for feelings sometimes, but really, I'm that guy it's okay, I'll sit here with some grown man and let him cry, and that's okay. I'm not going to judge you, I'm not going to judge you because it's okay. It's okay to feel. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to feel all of the things because you're only human,
I guess it's our responsibility and duty, through healing literature to whosoever is reading our work, because when they read your work, when they read healing literature, the reader is no longer passive. They are a participant. They
That's
become
right.
participants. They get heavily engrossed into it. They are now feeling the feel. So these texts, they don't just instruct, they accompany. They don't promise cure or a solution, but at least they offer
a
companionship.
Friend. Yes, absolutely. Because that is because people feel alone. That's when they get down in their worst, is when they're like, that's it. Nobody wants to come to me, yet I'm here for everyone else, but nobody wants to come here for me. Like, even for a second, someone always comes. Whether it just be that one person, or whether it be a million miles away or right next door, someone always comes. It's vulnerable. And that's the big wall.
As we were talking about uncomfortability, like when we pause, and again, it's the raw emotion and there is nothing wrong to it. So our historians, from Dante, to Toni Morrison, truth in literature has often been uncomfortable. Do you believe healing requires discomfort? And where should writers draw ethical boundaries?
Yes, healing absolutely does require the comfort. Absolutely. No matter who you are, where you are, what you do, it's absolutely 100% much better when you have not that misery loves company, right? Not like that, but just like we were talking about, companionship. It doesn't have to be anything. You don't have to even talk. Just be present together. It makes you feel more settled, more comfortable, more shared in a way, And for writers, it is important to know the boundary of what you want to portray to people. It's important to know that you are still a person and that your feelings matter. And they don't need to be wrote out to everyone else, at first. Just make sure you sit and that you're writing for you, right? And then when you feel like it's okay to, that it's what you want and what you feel, and then you can go and ask someone else how it makes them feel. Or put it out there, I guess you could say. Yeah.
It's true. And I guess I often feel that healing literature, doesn't rush to entertain. It sits with discomfort. It allows silence. It lets reader feel seen instead of distracted.
Yes.
Your work does that so elegantly. It doesn't offer easy answers, but it offers recognition. At least you are being heard finally by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that is something pause and reflect. So that brings us to rapid fire round, and it's gonna be exciting.
Woo! Let's do it. I'm ready.
Your first date will be option A heritage walk and talk, or option B, let's sit in a cafe and exchange your favorite book with your date.
Walk and talk.
All right. Be honest. How many unfinished drafts are currently haunting your laptop?
Girl. So many. I could just, lots of these just full. So many.
Well, if it has to be a number, then
My gosh. 90.
yeah, oh my Jesus. Okay, which is scarier, blank page or rereading your old work?
Reading your own work, because the blank page of muse always shows up. It's okay.
Yes, that's right. Pick anyone. On most depressing days, I'm working on a short story or a poem.
Ooh. Poem.
One word you overuse but secretly love.
Empathy.
If your inner critic had a name, what would it be?
Karen. Ironically, I don't know.
Writing playlist, classical calm or dramatic heartbreak anthems?
Oh my gosh. Depends on the day, but dramatic heartbreak anthems.
All right. Have you ever Googled, is this normal for writers?
10%. I think well, for one, I Google everything. And for two, I absolutely have Googled that. Yeah. And myself. Why not?
Would you like to share what did you exactly Google? Like,
Is it normal for writers to not write? Is it normal for to have writer's block? Is there actually such a thing as writer's block? Or am I just a space case?
would you rather lose all your drafts or accidentally send one to the wrong person?
My goodness, I would rather accidentally send them to the wrong person. Because I have so many.
You don't want to lose
That's
them.
probably happened.
No, touch wood. Well, finish the sentence. I knew I was a writer when I blank.
When I realized that my dad passed away and that was time for me to feel again.
Well, on that note, Jenny, your rapid fire round is over and beautifully said. So, well, you passed the test. Big.
That was exciting. I'm so happy. Like, I was nervous about that part. Was kind of a good. So,
Yes, so thank you once again, Jenny. And before we wrap up, I want to ask you one last question. And this is something a little personal, but important for our dear listeners, especially writers who may be struggling.
okay.
What would you say to someone who feels stuck in their own lexicon house, surrounded by unfinished drafts, unresolved grief, or stories they are afraid to complete?
The only fear is fear itself. And the only person that's making you fearful is you. Because there's never anything to be scared of. Because when you write, it's you. You're raw, and that's no matter, you can't face it. It's you. You can't deny it. It's 110% always there, and it's always you. Whether you know you're going through it or not, when you start writing, you're going through it. You're going to process whatever you don't even know if you consciously or subconsciously needed to process. You're going to process it. That's the glory of being a writer, and that's the glory of being a creative, is even when we don't think about anything, we don't think anything's wrong, write it down, because something, maybe not, but it'll always come out in the wash. Be real to yourself. That's all. Just be real and be true and be you, because that's all there is and that's all you can be. And then you're 100 no matter what. You're always good.
That's beautifully said. And Jenny, thank you so much. Thank you so very much for
Thank you.
coming to this podcast, for your work,
Oh my gosh.
your honesty, and for reminding us that sometimes the most powerful literature isn't the kind that moves fast, but the kind that stays. So thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm so glad we got to do this together again. Super happy.
Dear listeners, as we close this conversation, one thing becomes clear. Healing literature isn't a trend. It's a return to slowness, to honesty, to words that sit with us instead of racing past us. In a world addicted to speed and spectacle and poetry, grief memoirs, and spiritual essays remind us that it's okay to pause, to feel deeply, and to heal out loud. And thanks to our guest speaker, Jenny Hart, who is a wonderful writer, hailing all the way from Washington. And maybe readers 2026 are going to choose depth over distraction and meaning over momentum. So always listen to your heart. You do you, as Jenny says. And so whether you're writing, reading, or simply surviving, remember this: Your story doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the softest words are the ones that save us. So keep writing, keep reading, and above all, keep believing that your voice, unfinished, imperfect, human, is enough. So see you next Sunday. Toodles.